Yo, it's your boy Premonitions PR3, number 3, where the letter E supposed to be, and we back with another video on our Third Eye Talks Hoops NBA channel. So as always, before I do anything, once again, nothing but love and appreciation to every single person who's been smashing that like button, that subscribe button, who's been commenting, who's been interacting. It's much appreciated. As I tell y'all every single time, the content's going to be fire. The content's going to be consistent. Every Sunday, every Wednesday, we back with a new video. I don't want to waste no more time. Let's get into today's topic, where we're going to talk about storylines you might want to keep your third eye open for heading into the 2024-2025 NBA season. And the first place I want to start at is parity, people. Look, as you see, I have listed right now the biggest odds for all the championship contenders. Right now, the top 7 include Boston, OKC, New York, Denver, Philadelphia, Dallas, and Minnesota. Every single one of those teams have a legit chance to win a championship. And in my opinion, with a little tweak here or there, you definitely have to throw the Lakers and the Bucks in there if they can make a move. I'm just not a big believer in the Suns roster. So I think right now the NBA is in a great place. We saw LeBron kind of usher in the era of the super teams. We saw Kevin Durant go over there and team up with Golden State. Right now, the league is in such a great place because with what they've done with the collective bargaining agreement, it's pretty hard to actually assemble a super team. Like, most teams right now cannot afford to have a third max, and if you do that trade-off like what the Phoenix Suns have done and you have those 3 max players, you're not really going to be able to fill out a roster. So we've pretty much in years never seen the league in such a great place as far as competitiveness. If you ask me, in my opinion, every single one of the teams I just said, while I would definitely favor some over the others, I would not be surprised if every one of the teams got to the finals. And if you get to the finals, I think for the most part, you have a realistic chance to win. So keep your third eye open because this is going to be a great season. Because legitimately, I don't think you can predict who's going to win the NBA championship this season, even if you have a favorite. Lots of parity in the league. Keep your third eye open for it. Next storyline I want to jump into is one about a potentially disgruntled superstar, but it's the team who's had enough. Now, this might sound like a long shot, and I don't expect this to happen this year. But based on what happens this year, I could really see the 76ers thinking about moving on from Joel Embiid. And here's the reason. You guys have heard me say this in a few videos. I mean, it's not my saying, but it's a saying that's pretty popular. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. The 76ers can't keep falling into this trap of Joel Embiid starts the season, he's amazing, he misses about 30, 40 games, he comes back, and he has a hobble playoff run. Nobody is questioning Joel Embiid's talent. The man is an all-NBA talent. Truthfully, he's one of the most unique talents we've seen in the history of the NBA, with that size, that mobility, being able to play both sides of the floor, being one of the deadliest mid-range players in the NBA right now. But he's simply not reliable. And the reality is the 76ers know he's going to miss about 30 games every year, and they still have not been past the second round with him there. Now, why is it different this year? Well, the 76ers have gone all in. As I said previously, it is very, very difficult right now to construct a roster when you have 3 max contracts. They have Maxey, they have Paul George, they have Embiid. If they have another year where they can't get past the second round and legitimately compete for a championship, you have to start thinking to yourself, Joel Embiid is not going to get any healthier as he gets older. You've pretty much given up all of your roster flexibility. What trade pieces do you have? You don't trade Maxey because he's young, up and coming. You want to build around him. He's available. You just signed Paul George, and you'd have to assume he has at least another 2 high-caliber years left in him. What's the most valuable piece you have? The reality is that even though Joel Embiid is injured, the talent is still there. It wouldn't be totally unreasonable to think that you can find somebody who's willing to bet on him because people bet on talent. And if you're the 76ers and you have another flame out in the second round, you start looking, well, we got Maxey, we got Paul George. It's reasonable those are 2 top 25 players, definitely by my estimation. What can we get for Embiid? You could turn Embiid into 2 complementary players and some picks and start flushing out your roster and also give yourself some flexibility underneath this new collective bargaining agreement in the NBA. Look, I absolutely do not expect Joel Embiid to be traded this year. What I'm simply saying is if the 76ers fall short again in the playoffs, especially if it's because Joel Embiid is missing a lot of games, you would really have to look at it because you can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. So keep your third eye open. 76ers after this year might consider moving in a different direction from the process. Next storyline I want to keep my eye on. The unicorn we saw coming to the league last year, Victor Wembanyama. Why do I want to keep my eye on Victor Wembanyama? Right now, I feel like the league is in a place where we're having almost a race for the face. Like, we see LeBron James getting older. Kevin Durant's getting older. As great as Steph Curry is, he's about 35 years old. We're looking for the new wave of talent to come in. We saw that they might have potentially wanted to pass that on to Giannis. I think people have kind of cooled on Giannis because he hasn't replicated that playoff success. But even with that, we see Luka right now, nationally televised pretty much every other week in the NBA, just had his NBA Finals run. We see Anthony Edwards, who became a superstar in the playoff. He's electric. He's an efficient player. He makes highlight plays, and he's just super likable. And while I don't think he's necessarily in the running, some bias here right now, even though I try to be unbiased on the Third Eye channel, Jalen Brunson. Well, what he did on the national stage in the playoffs last year, the fact that he took that huge pay cut, he's getting a lot of national attention, and he plays in New York. So if you're super liked around the league and you play in New York, you're going to have a platform that a lot of people don't have. But Wemby came into his rookie year and probably already, like I said, I want to hold off on saying it because I had him around number 15. But there are people who already think he's a top 10 player in the league. And I really can't come up with a valid argument of why they're crazy. So if in his second year he really makes that ascension, once again, he's the type of player we've never seen before. Like, we are coming into an era in the league where we just saw a lot of generational talents. We never saw anything like Steph Curry. We never saw anything like LeBron. We never saw anything like KD. And now we have that next player where it's like, you look at him, you're amazed. The things he can do in the defensive end, the way his offensive game is producing, the way his offensive game is progressing. Look, we are going to be looking for a new face in the next year or two. And if Wembanyama actually takes that next step up, the Spurs are putting some nice pieces around him where they're at least competitive. Obviously not going to win a lot this year. Look, Victor Wembanyama is going to be in the running to be the new face of the NBA. And I'm really excited because I don't think we've seen anything like what this man is capable of in the history of the league. Wembanyama, will he be in the running for the face of the league? Keep your third eye open for that one. Next storyline that I want to keep my eye on. Look, I know y'all hear about this a lot. But will the Lakers make a move? Look, I just read off the top 7 NBA championship contenders based on the Vegas odds. The Lakers last year, in the first round, they faced up against the Denver Nuggets. They were in the lead of that series for about 80% of the series. So it's not as if they were blown out. They simply could not close. So if you're able to compete with an NBA championship caliber team, you are NBA championship caliber yourself with a few tweaks. The Lakers still have their first round pick in 2026 and 2028, and they have a nice little expiring contract with D'Angelo Russell that they can use to sweeten the pot and match up some salary. Look, the Lakers are the type of team where they need to be all in. LeBron James is still playing at a top 10 player level, so is AD. You simply cannot waste right now the time you have with those two superstars together. And the Lakers, look, keep an eye on them for making a move, because if they do, and it's the right move to fit in with these pieces, the Lakers will be a legitimate championship contender, because once again, they're one of the few teams that can say we have 2 top 10 to 15 players. So keep your third eye open whether or not the Lakers make a move, because if they make the right move, they do jump into the status of legit NBA title contenders. And the last storyline I'm going to tell you guys to keep your third eye open for is a superstar potentially demanding his way out of his situation, and that is Giannis Antetokounmpo for the Milwaukee Bucks. Look, here is the situation the Bucks find themselves in. They still have a top 5 player, absolutely no doubt. So they need to find a way to keep bringing in pieces to stay competitive and build around Giannis. But here's the truth. They're limited in their roster flexibility. They are over the second apron. There's not a lot of wiggle room they have as far as salary cap space. And although I mentioned a trade they could potentially make, it's difficult for them with the way their roster is constructed to make a lot of trades without gutting or trading Giannis, Chris Middleton, or Damian Lillard, who would happen to be their 3 most enticing trade pieces. So if the Bucks go out here and they flame out again, they're not able to really make a run in the playoffs, Giannis has to start thinking, let me look around. Wait, Damian Lillard is older than 34 years old. Chris Middleton has been getting older, and he's been consistently injured. Now I got to look at these other contenders. The core of the Boston Celtics, very young. Luka Doncic, very young. We have a young up-and-coming superstar in the West in Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns. They're young. Just in the East alone, Like I said, Boston Celtics core is young. The New York Knicks core is young. You have up-and-coming teams like the Orlando Magic with a young nucleus. If Giannis Antetokounmpo looks around and starts realizing that his roster is aging, they don't have the flexibility to put talent around him, it's not out of the realm of possibility for him to start thinking to himself, you know what? Maybe it's time for me to get out of here. Once again, it's similar to the situation with Joel Embiid. I do not expect Giannis to demand a trade this year. What I'm telling you is, if the Milwaukee Bucks come out and they are not looking like a legitimate championship contender, you will hear rumblings, because that's just where we are in the current state of the NBA. If a superstar is not happy and he realizes that the team cannot put a competitive roster around him, he can demand a trade, and more often than not, we see they get their way. So that's where we're going to close the video out today. Look, those are storylines you need to keep your third eye open to potentially see. With that being said, we're about to close out. Look, did you agree with what the third eye sees? If you think I'm wrong, let me show you why I'm right. Till the next video, be blessed. Have a great day.